Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Rebecca Roberts.
And I'm Yohan Rome.
In our top story, Israel was cut out of recent negotiations to end the war with Iran. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the Israeli people last week as talks with the United States and Iran rapidly advanced. Netanyahu confirmed that Israel was not party to the Memorandum of Understanding with Iran and still did not know the full details of the plan when it was signed electronically last week. Netanyahu praised the IDF and security forces for achieving Israel's main war goals and insisted that the Jewish state will continue to defend itself against existential threats. Yohan has more on that.
Yes, Rebecca, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Israel is not bound by the so-called Lebanese clause of the emerging U.S.-Iran agreement. This provision reportedly demands an immediate and permanent cessation of military operations on all fronts, including Lebanon. The Israeli Security Cabinet agreed to reject any limitations on Israel's military freedom of action against Hezbollah. Netanyahu, with the cabinet's full backing, said IDF troops would not withdraw from southern Lebanon. Hezbollah continues to violate the ceasefire, launching rockets and anti-tank missiles at Israeli troops. Netanyahu informed President Trump that the IDF would continue to fight Hezbollah and would respond to any attacks against the Jewish state.
U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that Iran agreed to never have a nuclear weapon. Details of the U.S. brokered deal with the radical Islamic regime remain unclear, but President Trump warned that all hell will rain down on Tehran if it pursues nuclear weapons. The president confirmed that any final agreement would allow Iran to enrich uranium at low levels that he said could never be used for military purposes. The president also denied Iranian reports of a $300 billion reconstruction package as fake news put out by the Democrats.
Somaliland has inaugurated its embassy in Jerusalem, becoming the 8th country to establish an embassy in Israel's eternal capital. Somaliland President Abdirahman Mohammed Abdullahi joined Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar at the ceremony. Israel was the first country to recognize Somaliland's independence last December. Sa'ar confirmed that leading up to the announcement, he had several clandestine meetings with President Abdullahi. Sa'ar said, "I will always be proud of the privilege it was to write the first pages of the story of the Israeli-Somaliland relationship."
The United Nations Relief and Works Agency has fired 70 workers for security reasons, refusing to admit that the staffers were linked to Hamas. Jerusalem has accused the UN body of employing militants and allowing its facilities to be used for terror. It completely cut ties with the UN agency. Hillel Neuer, the director of UN Watch, accused UNRA of hypocrisy in refusing to openly acknowledge the employees' links to the Gaza-based terror group. He said UN Watch has published extensive documentation of UNRWA's deep infiltration by Hamas, including an UNRWA terror network map identifying more than 400 individuals.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu congratulated U.S. President Donald Trump on his 80th birthday and on the 250th anniversary of America's independence. Netanyahu said America is a great nation built on liberty and faith. He wished Trump continued strength and vigor as he leads the United States toward a bright future of peace through strength as we bring the U.S.-Israel alliance to even greater heights.
Documents seized by the IDF in Gaza prove that Hamas attempted to derail normalization accords between Saudi Arabia and Israel. One recently published document describes the formation of a dedicated Hamas task force to campaign against normalization. Another Hamas memo called to increase terror attacks in Jerusalem, Judea and Samaria to sway Riyadh towards the Palestinian cause. These documents confirm earlier reports that Hamas orchestrated the October 7th massacre in Israel to sabotage the progressing peace deal with Saudi Arabia.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called on the people of Lebanon to reject Hezbollah and Iranian influence and embrace peace with Israel. Netanyahu stressed that Israel is not at war with the people of Lebanon, but is only looking to oust the Iranian-backed Hezbollah terror group. He said Hezbollah has taken your country hostage, using Lebanese territory to launch terrorist attacks against Israel. The IDF has delivered a crushing blow to the Iranian-backed terror group in Lebanon, eliminating nearly 10,000 Hezbollah terrorists. Netanyahu appealed to the Lebanese people, saying, "Israel yearns for peace with the people of Lebanon, a peace where our two peoples can invest together, build together, and thrive together." He added that the only impediment to this beautiful vision is Hezbollah.
The IDF confirmed that it eliminated Ali Musa Dakduk, a senior Hezbollah commander responsible for the deadly 2007 attack on U.S. troops in Iraq. The IDF said that Dakduk played a central role in terrorist attacks and combat operations against the State of Israel and IDF soldiers. He served as head of security for slain Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah and as the head of infantry for the fanatic guerrilla army. He also commanded the Radwan Force, the Nasir Unit, and the infamous Golan File. The IDF said that Dakduk led much of Hezbollah's operational planning against IDF soldiers along the Lebanese border.
The Israeli government is poised to approve a major funding plan for Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. According to a report in Axios, the 100 million shekel program will cover temporary housing, public facilities, and support services in strategically sensitive areas. It notes that the projects along Highway 90 in the Jordan Valley and in the South Hebron Hills are designed to create territorial continuity between existing Israeli communities in the biblical heartland.
The United Nations has confirmed that Hamas terrorists and police units beat, maimed, and publicly executed hundreds of Palestinians in acts amounting to war crimes. The UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights released a report confirming 249 documented cases of Palestinian abuses. These include executions, kneecapping, bone-breaking, and beatings, leading to 108 deaths from August 2024 until January of 2026. Hamas claimed the violence was punishment for collaboration with Israel, and the UN report notes that these heinous acts were widely publicized to intimidate the people of Gaza.
Israel's flagship airline, El Al, has announced a major deal with Elon Musk's Starlink to install in-flight internet service on its fleet of aircraft. The broadband service is scheduled to roll out next year and will provide passengers with uninterrupted internet service on flights to and from the Jewish state.
Researchers at the National Institute of the Study of the Red Heifer have confirmed that a pure red cow, or para aduma, was born recently at a dairy farm in the Galilee Hills. The book of Numbers, chapter 19, describes the importance of the ashes of a pure red heifer for ritual purification. Rabbi Azariah Ariel conducted an examination of the calf named Tmima and found her to be completely red. His team will continue to monitor Tmima's status until she reaches the required maturity of 3 years old. It's interesting to note that Tmima is not the only possible candidate for the red heifer. There are 4 other contenders being raised in ancient Shiloh. In September of 2022, the Temple Institute imported 5 Red Angus females from Texas to the Holy Land. 4 of them continue to meet the biblical requirements to be declared a pure red heifer.
Dozens of Christian leaders visited Jerusalem recently in a strong show of solidarity with the Jewish state. The delegation, led by Bishop Robert Stearns, head of the Eagle's Wings organization, was privy to security briefings and meetings with Israeli officials. They also met with Deputy Foreign Minister Shireen Haskell. She briefed the group that was also joined by hundreds of global Christian leaders online. Haskell said, "At a time when missiles are being fired at us, you chose to come to Jerusalem. Your decision during these challenging days is a powerful testament to your commitment to Israel."
In what is being hailed as a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, Israeli archaeologists have unearthed 2 ancient marble statues intact. The researchers were excavating ahead of planned construction to expand Israel's railway when they stumbled upon the 1,700-year-old Greco-Roman busts face down in an ancient Byzantine wine press. An official with the IAA said in the past 30 years, nothing on this scale, at this level of preservation, has been discovered.
That concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, and we're here in our beautiful studio in Jerusalem. My guest today is Tim Wainwright. He's the director of Operation Fire Support. Tim, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Tell our viewers a little about what is Operation Fire Support.
Operation Fire Support is a non-profit NGO started in Australia. It was specifically started to help communities improve fire safety.
You grew up Christian. You're from Australia. But you came here in 2018 to help Israel with fire issues. What led to that decision?
In Australia, I saw a news article, video of these Israelis fighting fires that were caused by Hamas balloons and kites, which had incendiary devices on them, and they would float over the border and start fires in farms. And there were farmers fighting fires, up to 20 times a day, and they were fighting fires in T-shirts with basic equipment. And it looked like they needed help. So I looked into it, and it turned out they needed a lot of help. So that's why I came to Israel.
I feel like we do need a lot of help. There's a lot of fire terrorism here, where people light fires and it spreads, and we don't have a fully functioning fire force. We have people who know how to do it, but very limited. What kind of advice and information were you able to give to help the situation on the ground?
Well, first I found out what the facts were, and the facts were that they have a very good fire rescue service in the cities, but most of the kibbutzim moshavim, the small farming communities, have emergency response teams or kitot kananot, and they're volunteers. Essentially, they respond to security, medical, fire, but they don't have any fire uniforms, and they don't have an official fire program for training. And so they're given basic equipment and basically told, there's a fire, go do something about it. And sometimes they don't get fire rescue helping them because there's not enough fire trucks. And so I came up with a fire training program to train these community teams to more safely fight fires, use better tactics, and also put in fire prevention to make communities more resilient when fires do happen. They lose less property.
Right now, it seems like you have your hands really full with the north. Hezbollah is shooting rockets at the northern communities, and it's causing a lot of different damage. Can you tell us about that?
Just recently, we had a drone, one of those small drones with the wires that go up to more than 10 kilometers long. It's crazy. It was detonated above our heads by an interceptor rocket, and there was no warning given, so we didn't have time to take cover from shrapnel, and it's concerning, and these things cause fires all the time. And this summer we've had a lot of rain in the winter, so there's a lot of grass, there's a lot of bush. It's tall and it's drying out. It's becoming brown and very, very dry, very flammable. So there's going to be issues this summer, with fires.
You've been here off and on throughout the years, especially after October 7th. How much of your faith has played a role in your willingness to help Israel in this area?
Yeah, it's funny. My faith and my daily walk is intertwined. So I'm talking to God all the time. And my wife is a Christian ministry worker, a chaplain at 2 children's hospitals. My father was a minister. I worked in the military as a welfare officer for 4 years. And so my Christian faith, I can't do anything other than try to help. That's how God made me specifically. The different gifts we all have. My gift is that of service. And my father was a firefighter and a minister. So I had that dual role of growing up seeing this amazing man, my dad, preaching the word, but also serving suffering humanity. And I wanted to be just like that. And so, my Christian faith guides everything I do.
You've been here off and on since October 7th and really in the trenches fighting against the fires with Israeli people. How much of that relationship with the Israeli society, how much of that has affected you?
Quite deeply. Before the war started, there were attacks by missiles and rockets and drones and all that since 2019 and 2020, 22 when I was here. And so I made personal friends with many people who died during the attack. And it was horrifying for 7 days not knowing who was alive and who died, and then hearing the worst. And one of my favourite places was near Tibat Sarah, and they lost 20 people. And you build a connection with these people. You stand shoulder to shoulder, fighting fires with them and helping them improve safety. And then for them to be attacked in the most horrible way, it's heartbreaking.
The Israeli people are known for their resiliency.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've come back from the ashes many times in our storied history. What can you tell us about Israeli resilience today?
Israelis are a unique people. They tend to focus on what's in front of them, and they will rise to any challenge, and they will find solutions and unique solutions to problems. That's why they're so good in high tech and those industries. And so they apply that to their lives. But one thing is that Australians and Americans, we're not getting shot at with rockets all the time, so we're not in that constant state of readiness, whereas they are. And so you do see that as well. And they need a lot of prayer and a lot of love. And one thing I like to think I'm doing is giving them a lot of love and friendship, standing with them as a Christian brother with my Jewish brothers, doing what I can to help.
Tim, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
Get involved. First with prayer. Pray for Israel. Pray for your Christian and Jewish brothers in Israel and the Druze as well. Do what you can to donate to organisations that are helping the situation here, helping the communities. There's my organisation, Operation Fire Support. We appreciate the help there. Mostly prayer, and do what you can practically to help as well.
Thank you, Tim, for being on the show, and thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
And now the truth from Zion.
On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury, the largest American military campaign in the Middle East since the 2003 invasion of Iraq, and the most consequential military action taken against the hardline Iranian regime in its 47-year history. The operation had been building for months. In January 2026, the fanatic Shiite regime in Tehran massacred tens of thousands of its own citizens in a crackdown on the biggest protest movement Iran had seen since the 1979 revolution. U.S. President Donald Trump responded by ordering the largest American military buildup in the region in 2 decades. When indirect nuclear negotiations collapsed in February, the decision to act was made. At his State of the Union address on February 24th, Trump told the American people that Iran had restarted its nuclear program and was developing missiles capable of striking the United States. 4 days later, the bombs began to fall. The opening salvo killed Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. It was the most dramatic single event in the Middle East in a generation. The removal of the man who had directed Iran's terror network, its nuclear ambitions, its proxy wars, and its decades-long campaign against Israel in the West. B-2, B-1, and B-52 bombers struck fortified sites across all 31 Iranian provinces, while Israeli jets carried out decapitation strikes against the regime's command structure. The targets included nuclear facilities, ballistic missile infrastructure, Iran's Navy, command and control networks of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, and the defense industrial base that had produced the drones and ballistic missiles sent against Israel, American troops, and civilian populations across the region. The results by any military measure were devastating. Iran's Air Force went from conducting between 30 and 100 flights per day to 0. More than 85% of the regime's defense industrial base was destroyed. The United States sank every operational Iranian submarine, the first submarine sunk in combat since the Falklands War. In addition, 150 Iranian warships were destroyed, and ballistic missile production capacity was wiped out. The White House reported more than 2,000 strikes on Iranian command and control infrastructure, triggering leadership losses and operational paralysis across the regime's entire military apparatus. Iran's retaliation was real and dangerous. it launched hundreds of ballistic missiles and drones at Israel, at American military bases, and at Arab states across the Gulf. Bahrain, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates were all targeted. A drone struck Britain's Akrotiri military base on Cyprus. Dubai International Airport was damaged and temporarily shut down. Hezbollah escalated on Israel's northern border, triggering the 2026 Lebanon war that has killed more than 2,000 terrorist fighters and civilians. But Iran could not sustain the campaign. Deprived of its command structure, its naval assets, and the majority of its offensive weapons production, the regime entered the month of April militarily broken and politically desperate. On April 8, 2026, a 2-week ceasefire brokered by Pakistan went into effect. Negotiations were held in Islamabad on April 11th and 12th. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner met directly with Iranian officials. Very few people were surprised when the talks collapsed. Iran refused to make binding commitments on the Strait of Hormuz, refused to surrender its uranium stockpiles, and insisted that Lebanon be included in any ceasefire framework, a condition that Israel and the United States rejected outright. For Israel, the strategic picture has been transformed. Iran's ability to arm and direct its proxy network has been shattered. Hezbollah and Hamas have been cut off from the weapons and monetary supply chains that sustained their terrorist enterprise for decades. The nuclear clock has stopped for the time being. What follows, whether a negotiated settlement, a political transition inside Iran, or renewed conflict, will determine the shape of the Middle East for the next generation. From Jerusalem, this is the truth from Zion. Up next, shining light from Israel.
Machane Yehuda Marketplace, otherwise known as the Shuk, is located in downtown Jerusalem. It boasts over 250 different vendors. They sell everything from fruits and vegetables to meats and fish to cheese and spices. There's textile shops, souvenir shops, electronic shops. Basically anything you could possibly be looking for, you can find right here in Machane Yehuda. And that's why it's popular with both tourists as well as locals. In the middle of the 19th century, Jews from around the world began to return home to the land of Israel. As a result, the population in Jerusalem, which consisted only of the old city, began to explode. And people needed to move beyond the old city walls, and new neighborhoods start to spring up all over the place. One of those neighborhoods just north of the marketplace today was called Machane Yehuda. It was founded by a gentleman by the name of Yosef Navon, who named it after his younger brother Yehuda. Just to the east was another neighborhood called Beit Yaakov. In between these two neighborhoods, you had this open field where local farmers used to come to sell their produce. People from far and wide would come to this market, taking the stagecoach, which had a station at the end of the field. The marketplace expanded along with the population, and the sanitation conditions here worsened. At the time, the Turkish government was in control of this area, and they did absolutely nothing to improve the quality of life. By 1917, the end of World War I, and the British take control, they came here, and the first thing they did was try and get rid of all of the rubbish, the trash, and the rodents that were all around. And in 1920, having enough of it all, they closed down the entire market and they built permanent shops here. That marketplace continued to grow, continued to expand, all the way until 1931, when a whole new section of the marketplace opened up, known as the Iraqi market. 20 new vendors, Today, they still sell fruits and vegetables there, but there's also a number of really excellent restaurants. In addition to that, you can still see old men in the square playing games like backgammon, which was referred to as sheshbesh here. One of the ways people can learn about a culture is by looking at the foods that they eat. Well, here in Israel, we have food from all over the world. And the reason why is as the Jewish people fulfill the biblical prophecy of the ingathering of the exiles, they brought with them the food from their former countries. So here in Machane Yehuda, on this one street, you can find food from Italy and Yemen. You can find food from Ethiopia, Iraq, South America. The entire world is represented here in Machane Yehuda. We're here with Tali Friedman.
Pleasure for me having you here. Thank you very much.
As the official spokesperson, tell me, what is one experience that a tourist just can't miss out when visiting Machane Yehuda?
It's so hard to answer that question because I think Machane Yehuda is an amazing place, and every spot in this market, it's incredible. So just being here, enjoying the smell, the color, the people, the varieties of everything that we have in here, and the interaction that they have with the vendors here walking with me in the market, I think this is the highlights of everything. It's amazing. Just going around in the market with the people, discover everything, tasting most of the amazing things that we have in Machane Yehuda's market.
What an incredible day it has been experiencing all the flavors of Israel here at the Machane Yehuda markets. And on your next adventure in the Holy Land, make sure to visit the Machane Yehuda market, the Shuk.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Rebecca Roberts.
And I'm Yohan Elrom, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Join us again next week for all of your Israel updates.
If you feel inspired and compelled to share this video, don't hold back. We love your interaction with us and want to connect with you further and be a light together. So be sure to like, comment, and share, and subscribe now.